Ready to dive into a story that's really out there.
Always up for a good mystery.
Yeah, well, this one's a doozy. We're talking about Meng Zhao Guo, a Chinese logger who claimed he had a close encounter with extraterrestrials back in '94.
Oh, this is the Phoenix Mountain case, right?
That's the one.
I've heard bits and pieces about it, but never really dug in. What makes it stand out from all the other UFO stories?
Well, for one, it's not your typical setting. We're not talking about the Nevada desert or some top-secret military base.
Right.
This all went down in rural China, a remote logging community nestled in the mountains. Not exactly where you'd expect to find aliens.
So how did it all begin? Was it like a classic flying saucer sighting?
Well, sort of. It all starts on June 6th, 1994. Meng and his nephew-in-law are up on Phoenix Mountain gathering apple ferns. When they spot this large disc-shaped object just sitting there on some rocks.
Just casually chilling on a mountainside.
Pretty much. They said it was about the size of a plane and had these two tails sticking out. Like, imagine a giant metallic frisbee with antennas.
Okay, that's definitely strange. Did they get any photos of it?
No, unfortunately not. Keep in mind, this is 1994 in rural China. Not everyone's walking around with smartphones back then.
Good point. So what did the locals make of it?
Small town folks, they had their own theories. Some thought it was a weather balloon. Others thought maybe it was a runaway greenhouse from someone's farm. A few even joked it might be leftover snow from the winter, which is kind of funny, considering it was June.
Yeah, pretty unlikely.
Right. But you got to remember, this community is pretty isolated. They're not exactly up to date on the latest UFO news and theories.
So they saw this strange object, but nothing really happened.
Oh, no. Things get a lot weirder. The next day, June 7th, Meng and his nephew-in-law decide to head back to the site. Got to investigate, maybe snag a souvenir or two.
Souvenir.
They probably figured if it really was some kind of alien spacecraft, maybe they could find some fallen off pieces and sell them or something.
I mean, hey, entrepreneurial spirit, right?
Exactly. But as they get closer, things start to get a little freaky. They experience electric shocks, metallic objects they're carrying start heating up, and there's this invisible barrier around the object.
An invisible barrier.
Yeah, like a force field. They said they couldn't get any closer than about 150 meters, almost like the object was protecting itself.
Okay, now we're getting into some serious X-Files territory.
Right. So naturally, word gets out, and the story starts spreading like wildfire. By June 9th, there's a whole expedition heading up the mountain. Local officials, villagers, everyone's curious. They even brought cameras and recorders this time, hoping to document whatever this thing was.
So they finally got some proof.
Oh, here's a kicker. They find absolutely nothing. The object is gone, vanished without a trace.
And what about Meng?
Well, that's where things take another strange turn. While everyone else is looking around for the object, Meng suddenly collapses. He's looking through his binoculars at the time and starts having what appears to be some kind of seizure.
Maybe the stress of the situation got to him.
That's what some people thought. But here's the thing. Witnesses said he seemed to be reacting to something only he could see, like he was having a vision or hallucination.
Oh, that's interesting. Could it have been epilepsy or something?
It's possible. But the timing is awfully coincidental, don't you think?
Right.
Right after the object disappears, he has this sudden episode while looking at the spot where it was.
Yeah, there's definitely something strange going on here.
Oh, and it gets even weirder. While he's in the hospital recovering, Meng scribbles a single word on a piece of paper. And get this, it appears to be in Ubik.
Ubik, as in the nearly extinct language.
Yep, that Ubik. And according to linguists, the word translates to soft.
Soft. That's a pretty random detail to focus on after allegedly encountering an alien spacecraft.
Right, like you'd think he'd write something more dramatic like danger or help or something.
So we have a disappearing UFO, a man collapsing with seemingly unexplainable visions, and a word from a dying language scribbled on a hospital bed. You have to admit, the story is already pretty wild even if we stopped here.
Oh, we're just getting started. This is just the tip of the iceberg. The real craziness comes a few weeks later when Meng has another encounter, and this time things get, let's just say, a lot more personal.
Well, color me intrigued. Can't wait to hear what happened next. Okay, so we've got a disappearing UFO, a man collapsing with strange visions, and a word from a nearly extinct language. Where do we go from here?
Well, things take a turn for the even weirder about a month later. It's July 16th, late at night. Meng's family is asleep, and he's at home when suddenly, bam, a blinding light fills his room.
Oh, here we go.
And standing there in the middle of his room is this This towering black figure. It's like something out of a nightmare.
Okay, that's creepy. Did he say anything about what it looked like? Like, was it humanoid?
He didn't give a ton of details about its appearance, just that it was tall, black, and, well, intimidating. But here's the really crazy part. This figure, it leads Meng right through the wall of his house.
Through the wall? Like, what, did it knock a hole in the wall?
Nope. He described it as being like walking through one of those air curtains you see at supermarkets. Like it was just this sort of seamless transition.
A seamless transition through a solid wall. All right, now I'm really curious.
But the wall walking is just the beginning. Inside, well, I guess you'd call it a craft, Meng claims he was shown a comet warning. It was like a vision, a premonition of a comet about to collide with Jupiter.
A comet warning. That's a bit specific, isn't it?
You know, I thought the same thing. But here's the kicker. Just hours after this alleged encounter, the Shoemaker-Levy 9 comet smashes right into Jupiter, a huge astronomical event, and Meng seemingly had a preview.
Wow, that timing is, well, let's just say interesting.
It's more than interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about it. How could he have fabricated that detail? News traveled a lot slower back then, especially in rural China. It's highly unlikely he even knew about Shoemaker-Levy 9, let alone that it was about to hit Jupiter.
That's a good point. So we're left with this bizarre story that includes a disappearing UFO, strange physical effects, a man collapsing with visions, a word from a dying language, and now a seemingly accurate premonition of a major astronomical event. This is a tough one to explain away.
Yeah, and I haven't even gotten to the really juicy part yet. You see, years later, Meng revealed some, shall we say, additional details about this encounter. Details that put it firmly into close encounters of the seventh kind territory.
Oh, so we're talking about the more intimate aspects of the story now.
That's the one. And it's definitely a detail that raises eyebrows.
So years after the fact, he decides to add this detail. I wonder why he waited so long to share that part of the story.
It's hard to say for sure, but it's definitely a twist that complicates things.
It certainly makes you question his motives, doesn't it? Was he trying to embellish the story, make it more sensational, or was there something else going on?
Well, consider this. If you were going to make up an alien abduction story, wouldn't you go all out? I mean, you'd probably talk about flying saucers, probing experiments, maybe even a message of peace for humanity.
Right, the classic alien encounter tropes.
Exactly. But Meng focused on a comet hitting Jupiter. Why? It's almost like he's trying to downplay the most unbelievable part of his story to make the rest of it seem more believable by comparison.
That's an interesting theory. Like, oh, and by the way, I also had a close encounter of the seventh kind. But let's not dwell on that. Let's talk about this comet warning again.
Right. It's a weird detail to lead with, especially if you're trying to convince people that you were abducted by aliens.
And it's important to remember that this whole ordeal wasn't exactly a walk in the park for Meng. He faced a lot of ridicule, a lot of disbelief. Even his family fell apart.
Yeah, think about it. You have this experience that totally shatters your understanding of reality, but nobody believes you. The social pressure, the psychological toll, it must have been immense.
And eventually he retreats from public life, takes a job in a university cafeteria, almost like he's trying to disappear, to forget the whole thing ever happened.
It's a sad ending, in a way. A man who claimed to have had this incredible experience, but ultimately paid a heavy price for it.
But the story itself, it lives on. It's been told and retold, analyzed and debated, and it continues to spark our imaginations to make us wonder if we're truly alone in this vast universe.
Speaking of sparking imaginations, there have actually been a few more UFO sightings at Phoenix Mountain over the years, some even caught on camera.
Oh, really? When did these happen?
Well, there were a couple in 2005 and then a few more in 2012. And here's the thing. These later sightings, they were all documented by folks connected to the tourism industry.
Interesting. Coincidence. Or maybe someone realized the potential of a good alien story to draw in some tourists.
I guess it depends on how cynical you want to be. But it does add another layer to this whole mystery. Is there something genuinely strange happening at Phoenix Mountain? Or is it all just a big, elaborate hoax designed to boost the local economy?
It's a question that has no easy answers.
So where does that leave us? We've got a story that's equal parts bizarre and compelling, a mix of seemingly credible details and utterly unbelievable claims. A man who, despite the potential for fame and fortune, ultimately seemed to pay a heavy price for his alleged encounter. It's a story that challenges us to confront our own beliefs, to question what we think we know about the universe and our place in it. What do you think out there listening? Is the Meng Zhao Guo incident a case of elaborate fabrication, a cultural misunderstanding, a genuine extraterrestrial encounter? Or maybe, as you suggested earlier, a bit of all of the above?
I think the beauty of a story like this is that it doesn't offer easy answers. It allows us to engage with it on multiple levels, to analyze the evidence, to debate the possibilities, and ultimately to draw our own conclusions.
Maybe that's exactly what Meng Zhao Guo wanted all along. To make us think, to question, to look beyond the limits of our own understanding, and to consider the possibility that we're not alone in this vast universe.
And maybe, just maybe, those later UFO sightings, whether real or fabricated, are a testament to the power of his story. It's a story that continues to capture our imaginations, to make us look up at the sky and wonder what might be out there.
And sometimes, isn't that sense of wonder enough? The possibility, the mystery, the idea that there might be more to this reality than we can even comprehend.
It certainly makes for a much more interesting world, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. So, to everyone listening, keep an open mind, embrace the mystery, and never stop asking questions. Because who knows, maybe someday one of those seemingly impossible stories will turn out to be true. You know, it's funny when you think about it. It's like a Meng story is a Rorschach test for belief.
How so?
What you see in it, what you believe, it says more about your own worldview than it does about the actual events.
Oh, I see what you mean. We all bring our own baggage to these kinds of stories.
Exactly. If you're already inclined to believe in extraterrestrials, you're going to focus on the details that support that belief. But if you're a diehard skeptic, you'll find ways to dismiss everything as coincidence or misinterpretation or just plain fabrication.
We all have our own filters. Right.
Right. And the thing about Meng's story is it doesn't fit neatly into either category. You've got these elements that seem genuinely credible, and then there are these totally bizarre details that make you wonder if the guy was just messing with everyone.
It's like the story itself is playing a game with us, daring us to make up our minds, but never quite giving us enough information to be certain.
And maybe that's the point. Maybe it's not about finding all the answers. Maybe it's about embracing the mystery, the ambiguity, the possibility that there are things in this universe that we just can't fully grasp.
That's a good takeaway for our listeners, too. When we come across something that challenges our understanding of the world, it's easy to just dismiss it outright or to embrace it without question. But maybe the best way to approach these things is to hold both possibilities in mind at the same time.
To allow for the unknown.
Exactly. To acknowledge that we don't have all the answers, that our knowledge is always a work in progress.
So next time you hear a story about some strange encounter or a weird phenomenon or something that just seems flat out impossible, try to resist jumping to conclusions.
Take a step back.
Yeah, and instead ask yourself, what if? What if there's more to this than I realize? What if reality is way stranger and more amazing than I ever imagined?
Because ultimately, isn't that sense of wonder, that curiosity about the unknown, isn't that what drives us to explore, to learn, to push the boundaries of our understanding?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes for a much more interesting life than just accepting everything at face value, don't you think?
Absolutely. And who knows, maybe someday one of those seemingly impossible stories will turn out to be true.
Until then, keep an open mind, embrace the mystery, and maybe, just maybe, the truth is out there waiting for us.